Oh my God. I think that was a firecracker that was thrown inside the van there. That's what it appeared to be.
Another day for the books in Seattle. Violent protests filled the streets overnight over the death of George Floyd. And overnight, demonstrators went home, but the cleanup of the mess now just beginning. The looting was just incredible. And all morning long, we've been showing you the stories of these volunteers. This is brand new this morning. People coming from far and wide to downtown Seattle to pitch in and do their part to try to recoup and rebuild. Good morning, everybody, on this emotional and special edition of King 5 today on your Sunday. I'm Jake Wittenberg.
And I'm Amy Jung, live in the heart of downtown Seattle, where we are seeing the cleanup efforts beginning with so many people coming out of their homes this morning after we showed up in what looked like a war zone this morning. Jake, we'll have more in just a moment.
All right, Meme, sounds good. We'll get back to you in just a quick moment. First, we want to update everyone at home on what we now know from the city of Seattle. So far, 27 people have been arrested for everything from assault to arson, destruction, and looting. That's according to Seattle's Police Chief Carmen Best. Multiple people, including police officers, she says, were injured in the chaos. We're still not clear on numbers from that, but it is clear protesters have been evading authorities. All of this after a mandatory curfew went into effect at 5 o'clock last night. It expired at 5 a.m. this morning. We're learning another curfew will be in place at 5 o'clock tonight. All right, Meme, we're going to send it back to you downtown this morning. We've been watching all of this unfold this morning. The turnout, just incredible. What are you seeing now?
Well, talk about night and day, Jake, from last night and all the looting and the violence and the mayhem on the streets of Seattle, and now to this, where I am just seeing a number of people coming out, just trying to clean up what they can, literally going into the stores, using their own brooms, their own garbage bags to try to clean up all the glass. This is the Eileen Fisher store at 6th and Pine, and you can see that looters came in here and just smashed the windows right out, stealing a lot of merchandise. People have been able to pile up the clothes that were just strewn all over the floor onto the table. So this looks a lot better than it did just a few hours ago. And people now are using special sprays to try to get the spray paint off of the windows and the sides of the buildings, and so they've been able to do a lot of that. There's a lot of people here right now showing up, a lot of activity, and this is what people feel like they are waking up this morning wanting to do, is to do something good. Michael Crow, one of our colleagues, was in the thick of the protests last night, not just the protests, but the violence that happened after the protests. This is what he saw.
A gathering in downtown Seattle to protest the death of George Floyd, an officer's knee on his neck.
No human being should ever be subjected to this kind of situation.
But we don't vandalize or do anything because we don't want to discredit what we're coming to do today.
With organizers pleading for peace after clashes the night before. But the calm did not last.
Right, people, I need you at the front!
Guys, watch out for that. That's going to be miserable.
Soon, tear gas and flashbangs shook Westlake.
Try not to rub your eyes, okay? They were like pushing us with the bikes.
Hey guys, we're in a cloud of smoke right now. We're coughing a lot. Flashbangs going off what I assume to be tear gas.
Protesters facing off with police in tactical gear.
Hands up! Don't shoot!
Then some in the crowd lit a police car on fire, and the chaos only grew. Several cars burned tonight. Police forced the crowd back. Fire crews through. And there was widespread looting of businesses, both large and small.
He's going to throw that flashbang out and roll it at him. Oh.
All the while, skirmishes continued. Protesters and police moving corner to corner, some frustrated and worried that the message was lost to the violence.
I'm mad because we're supposed to be fighting for the injustice of George. We're not using this as an excuse to be thugs like they call us. We aren't thugs, we're people, and we're hurt and we're mad.
And after that curfew went into effect, police went on the offensive, moving in and pushing protesters back away from where the looting was going on.
Certainly one thing is clear tonight. There is an incredible amount of pain and anger here. And we will have to wait and see what comes of this conflict. though at the end of the night, more pain for those with damaged businesses.
What's funny is that my wife and I this morning were having a conversation about how horrible what happened was, and then we have to deal with this. It's.
I hear the emotion in your voice, man.
Well, this is 10 years of a lot of hard work.
And frustration for those who want their message heard.
We're here because it's a movement, curfew or not. Our life still matters after 5 o'clock.
Michael Crow, King 5 News.
All right, so we just spotted Seattle Mayor Jenny Durkin and Seattle Police Chief Carmen Best, who are now walking down the street, just taking a look at the damage, the cleanup efforts. Chief Best? Hi, Mimi Jung with King 5.
Hi, Mimi.
How are you doing? You know what?
I saw you early.
I'm inspired by what we're seeing around us. How are you feeling this morning?
The same as you. I'm totally inspired. It's totally gratifying and so wonderful and heartening to see all of these people out here, volunteers helping to clean up the destruction and the graffiti and all the damage from last night. It's really, really wonderful. And I'm really hopeful that calmer heads will prevail today and that they won't come into our beautiful city and make it look like this.
What can you tell us about the summary of last night and how you are looking forward to handling the things in the future today?
Well, what happened last night is obvious. You saw the property damage. You saw the broken windows. We had a number of officers injured and other people. We really can't have that. We know Seattle is better than that. We do. We are better than that. Just by showing these volunteers out here today doing this amazing work. We're going to staff up. We're going to prepare for the worst, but we're hoping for the best. We're hoping that Seattleites really come through and do the right thing, keep our city safe. You can express your opinion, your First Amendment right to free speech. We're with you. We know people are hurting and angry about the death, but we have to make sure that we keep our city safe.
What's the message to your officers who are in the middle of dealing with things like this in the heat of emotions and anger? And there was a video posted on social media that I saw where officers are trying to make arrests, but there's cameras rolling and people watching every move to make sure that the officers are not using excessive force. But yet you've got to do your job. What's the message you're trying to send to those officers?
Well, I expect my officers to use their training, to use good judgment, to help each other out, to do the right thing at all times, no matter what. We're never going to condone anybody using excessive force, so that shouldn't be an issue, right? But we do have to take people into custody, and sometimes we have to use the right amount of force to do that. We can't let people destroy everything. Last night we spent into the wee hours of the morning chasing people around who weren't giving out a message. They were just tearing up property and stealing, and that's wrong.
Okay. Anything else we need to know about today and how your officers are going to be prepared? What are you planning?
Yeah, we got extra resources in place. The National Guard's coming out and they'll be assisting too, standing by, mostly to make sure that there's no property damage and no resurgence of what we had last night.
Thank you very much, Chief Best. Appreciate it. So you can see Chief Best along with Mayor Durkin, who I seem to have lost at this point in the crowd. But she's been talking with people who have been coming out to volunteer, people who have showed up, not just people who live in the downtown area that this affects, but people who have come from Bellevue or the South End, or just, people who have been watching our newscast this morning and have been hearing about and seeing the destruction. They really want to do something to help. And so the mayor, along with the Seattle Police Chief, are right now walking the streets, taking a look at the damage themselves. Let me see if I can try to catch up with the mayor. So bear with me just a moment. Mayor Durkin. Hi, Mimi Jung with King 5.
Hi, Mimi, how are you?
I'm good. Tell me what your thoughts are this morning as you're looking at everything.
Look, yesterday was a tough day for our city, but it was a tough day across the nation. We can't let the violence and the destruction that happened override the message of Mr. Floyd's death. People rightfully were protesting. There was many peaceful protests, but obviously it degenerated very quickly. And what I love to see here is so many people coming downtown to help clean up, to remove graffiti, to reclaim the city that they love. And that's the spirit we have to be about going forward, is people coming together and find a way to really acknowledge the challenges that we have, make them better, but still love our city.
We've seen protests happen in this city in the past. We've seen destruction happen. Have you seen it to this magnitude in your own experience?
So I've been in protests in this city since I was a kid. I marched against the Vietnam War. I marched for civil rights. I marched in the Gay Pride before it was a thing. I was in the Women's March. We all remember WTO and remember when people come to not just protest and have their voice heard, but actually cause destruction. And that's what we saw yesterday. I give a great amount of respect and dignity to the peaceful protesters who came here, who were able to come, listen, march. And to the people that weren't, we are going to try to stop that from happening again and not let them co-opt the message that's very real across America to stop what happened to Mr. Floyd and to move forward as a more just and equitable city and country.
And lastly, given what you saw yesterday, how is the city planning to prepare for future incidents like this?
So we'll have a range of planning. We've had many, many large events in this city. We had tens of thousands of people in the city for everything from Seahawks to Pride, and we don't have a problem. And we don't have a problem unless people come intending to cause a problem, and that's what happened. We just had many hundreds, if not thousands of people coming for only one purpose, and that was to cause destruction. We'll plan for that, but right now we're going to get things cleaned up. I'm going to meet with community members throughout the day. We've seen lots of them down here from across the city. Our phones, the Department of Neighborhoods, was how do we come help? How do we show people that as angry as we are and as much justice as we want, this isn't acceptable, and we want to come together too to raise our voice for that. So you've seen this, everybody coming down here trying to clean up, help clean up, make things better, and that gives me a lot of hope and inspiration for our city.
Lifts my spirits too.
Yeah.
Thank you, Mayor. Appreciate it.
Take care.
So you just heard from the mayor and the police chief as they continue to assess the damage. One of the things that I'm noticing is just more and more people coming out here and doing what they can, and that part is really uplifting given all the destruction that we have seen. Jake?
Yeah, you said it, my friend. I mean, all morning we've been talking about how this protest, this action, I've got to stop saying protest because what they're doing is criminal. That's not the protesters. But what this situation is just different from other protests. Even as the mayor just said, WTO, May Day, this is different. But the cleanup looks different to me. I don't think I've ever seen so many people flooding the streets like this just to help clean up, right?
No, I definitely have not. Obviously, there's been so much more damage that we've seen in the past. But yeah, there's a definite change in terms of a community rallying together that I haven't seen. People bringing out their kids. That's something that gets me choked up is when I see families, parents bringing their kids out here and they're sweeping up the glass and they're putting the stuff into garbage bags. And I've asked these parents, why? Why'd you bring your kids out? And they said, because this is a lesson that I want to teach them, that out of bad can come good. And how are we really honoring people like George Floyd? This is how we're doing that, by cleaning up and not letting this bring us down.
You said it, my friend. Good kudos to those parents as well. Mimi Jung live downtown this morning, chasing the mayor, chasing the police chief down the street. We appreciate it. We're back right after this on King 5 Mornings. The breaking news here on King 5 Mornings, cleanup after that violent string of protests yesterday in downtown Seattle. Let's get back to Mimi Jung downtown. Mimi, we kind of shifted the camera view here. Give us a look at what we're seeing now.
Well, let me just tell you something. Let me just show you what's happening right here that I just witnessed. This mom right here just showed up. You guys just showed up with donuts for these volunteers, right? Yeah. I just saw you say, do you want a donut?
Would you like one?
I would, but no, they're the ones who are doing the work this morning. And so what prompted you to bring your daughter down here for this?
Well, we live downtown, and so we heard all the noise last night, and it breaks my heart, that this has to happen and that everything terrible like this can happen. And so we just wanted to come down and see what we could do and just offer some food to everybody that's helping out.
And the woman that you just offered a donut to gave your daughter a hug. I mean, she did.
Yeah,
you guys are strangers.
She wanted to bring her children down here too, and she just really was, I don't know. It's so much nice to see the community out here trying to get together and give back a little bit and hopefully get everything cleaned up and fix, everything's messed up. You understand why people are doing this, and my heart just breaks for the whole country right now, and we do any little thing we can.
What do you think this is teaching your daughter right now?
That community and love are the most important things, and that's all we can do, right?
Thank you so much for doing that, for bringing a smile to people's faces as they continue to clean up the sides of the Nordstrom building right here. This is the woman right here, giving her a little heart, giving her a little love. You just gave this little girl a hug because she offered you a donut, right?
Yeah, and you know what? I can't tell you that's a good mom. I got my kids at home, and we just moved out here 6 months ago, and this is insane, but to see the people coming together to show love, that's a good mom. That's a good mom, you know, and we're still battling COVID. You know what I mean? So these are scary times, and we're battling so many things right now, but to see the love here, this is Seattle. I'm glad I moved here.
I'm so glad to hear that.
Thank you for having me and my family. Thank you.
Thank you for being here, along with so many other people. I mean, this is what it's all about, Jake. It shifted from, you know, coming out here this morning and seeing the destruction at 5 a.m. and seeing the cleanup now just a few hours later and all the good that is coming out of it.
Yeah, let's hope it all gets cleaned up really, really fast. Mimi Jung, live downtown yet again this morning. Just some amazing people we're starting to hear from downtown. We'll check back in with you in just a few minutes, my friend. Be safe. All right, let's turn our attention this morning to some weather. Stephen Kilbreth in this morning with a look at the day ahead. Hey, Stephen, how are you this morning?
Hey, Jake. Yeah, we're doing well in the Weather Center this morning. We had a crazy day yesterday with all those thunderstorms and all of that weather systems that were moving through. In fact, the entire state was hit. Eastern Washington, of course, Western Washington had a lot of rain too. In fact, some record breaker. Here's a look now at our Queen Anne Tower Cam, taking a look at Seattle. Still seeing some rain on the lens there. Here's the daily rainfall records from yesterday. SeaTac had 1.14 inches of rain. That's the highest daily total since February 1st. And also Seattle had over an inch. Bellingham nearly an inch of rain. Our almanac yesterday, we reached 60 degrees. Remember on Friday we were at 80 degrees, so 20 degrees cooler yesterday. Today we're going to be about the same, right around 60, so below average today. The record high 87 back in 1964. Here's a look at our showers that have kind of moved on and moved east for the most part. Still seeing some active weather in the Idaho Panhandle and places like Omak and Kettle Falls and north of Spokane and places like that. But some scattered showers going to stick with us throughout the day today. Your mountain forecast is looking like this. A chance of showers and a high temperature in the mountains will be from about 45 to 51 degrees. Freezing level is at 5,000 feet. So it might be okay to head out there and hike. Yesterday was not one of those days, but today you might just get a little wet. Our regional forecast, we take a look at the northwest interior. Our temperatures today going to be in the upper 50s to low 60s, and you could see some scattered showers at times. The central area is looking like this, with our temps going to be in the what we'll call it lower 60s, 62 for Renton, 62 in Issaquah, 61 North Bend, 58 in Paulsbo. So we do have some showers going to be with us throughout the day, kind of off and on, and some clouds. Later in the day, we could see some sun breaks as well. So just a little bit of everything on our spring day. And this, by the way, the last day of May. Yes, June 1st is tomorrow, if you can believe that. We take a look at the South Puget Sound and some of the foothills communities. Enumclaw will get to 60 today, 65 in Yelm. More chance of a drier day in these communities. Out on the coast, looking like this, with temperatures in the upper 50s to low 60s, mid 60s as you head down the I-5 corridor down towards Vancouver. You can see 66 in Kelso and in Chehalis as well. Eastern Washington, they had some thunderstorms there early this morning, and yesterday we were in the 90s, but of course today you can see in the mid 60s to mid 70s is where we are. 7-day forecast for Seattle. Morning rain decreasing, high of 62. Going to get back in the upper 60s to mid 70s during the middle of the week with some sunshine and then rain next weekend. We're back in just a few.
Good morning, I'm Chris Egan checking in with sports. There is nothing new to report this morning about the return of any sports, and maybe it should be that way considering what's happened in our country the past few days. Players and coaches of all races are releasing statements of shock, anger, and support. Let's take a look at what our local athletes are saying. Mariners outfielder Mitch Haniger tweets, "There is only one race on the face of the earth, and that is the human race. Human beings created racism. Anything you create, you can destroy." Bulls guard and former Bothell Cougar Zach Levine. "This has been going on for hundreds of years now, and still with little to no change. Got to do better. But how can there be change if the ones with power are not willing to listen or do anything about their actions? Husky basketball coach Mike Hopkins. We met with our team yesterday, and I witnessed their pain. I witnessed their anger. I witnessed their hurt. I'm not an expert on social justice. I'm not an African-American male, but I do know the difference between right and wrong. What happened to George Floyd and countless other individuals of color is tragic and wrong. It is beyond disturbing. We must rally together to end racial injustice. Multiple Seahawks are weighing in.
I have family, friends, brothers that look like George Floyd. And to think being black in America can lead to that, it scares me, breaks my heart.
Continue to happen every year at some point. I don't know when it'll change.
And Doug Baldwin is not happy. He tweeted this: "I really want to say F you to all the people that still don't get it. You see someone have their life taken again by the very people who are supposed to protect and serve, and you don't link arms and those protesting against the injustice. Black, white, green, purple, it don't effing matter. We are all humans." Former Sonics assistant coach Dwayne Casey, now the Pistons head coach, shares a poignant story. Casey said to the Detroit Free Press, 54 years ago, I was an 8-year-old boy living in rural Kentucky when the schools were desegregated. I walked into a white school where I was not wanted nor welcomed. At the time, there were no cell phones to record my treatment, no cable news stations with 24/7 coverage, no social media to record the reality of the situation or offer support nor condemnation. But I can remember exactly how I felt as an 8-year-old child. I felt helpless. I felt as if I was neither seen nor heard nor understood. 54 years later, my son is now 8 years old, and I look at the world he's growing up in, and I wonder how much has really changed. How often is he judged on sight? Is he growing up in a world where he is seen and heard and understood? Does he feel helpless? Will he be treated like George Floyd? What have we really done in the last 54 years to make his 8-year-old world better than mine was? We all have to be and do better. Seahawks Bruce Irvin simply prays, Lord, just let me and my family make it out of 2020. From Puyallup, I'm Chris Egan, King 5 Sports.
So we are staying on top of the latest cleanup efforts on the streets of Seattle this morning, and new video today showing burned out cars being towed off the streets. Firefighters have a message to those who are setting those fires, and social media goes wild over the graphic images out of yesterday's protest. Lots to get to here on a special edition of King 5 Mornings here on your Sunday. Back after this short break.